In today's video, we're going to take a look at all of the different volatility setups that we had using our overlap tab inside of our live scanner. Now, for those that are new to our channel, the live scanner is a custom scanner that we've built inside of our Volatility Box platform. It scans now every 1 to 2 seconds across more than 10,000 stocks, looking for places where we have a nice volatility opportunity. The overlap tab really does most of the heavy lifting for you, where it looks for any trades that are triggering on our hourly volatility models while also triggering on the daily volatility models at the same time. Traditionally, each one of these tabs will give you a longer list of stocks that you can dive deeper into. The overlap tab really looks for the Venn diagram overlap between both of these tabs. Now today we had quite a few stocks, and most of these came as a result of the Powell volatility. So let's dive a little bit deeper into this list. We'll take a look at both winners and losers along the way, and I'll share commentary that stands out. Now the setup we're looking at when reviewing these setups is our momentum reversal setup. It's a very simple setup. I'll leave a link to this link in the description box. You can learn more about it. tosindicators.com/ThinkScript/momentum-signals. And there you can watch this video which breaks down the setup in more detail. A quick TLDR, we need price to hit our volatility box zones. Once that's happening, we'd like to see these Keltner channel wedges. At least 5 of them is what we like to see. And once that takes place, we now know that, hey, we're officially in oversold territory from both the volatility and the Keltner channel standpoint. We then look for our overbought, oversold confirmation. That's this green arrow for long opportunities or this red arrow for short side opportunities. Once that takes place, another nice to have is this dot that you see right here. Another example, and that's simply the 3 EMA crossing, in this case, above the 8 EMA for the bullish side or below for our bearish side. Now that's a simple setup, but you can see how when layered on with our volatility live scanner here, that becomes very powerful for finding some nice momentum reversals. Now let's start with AI first, and we'll make our way up this list. Now AI, what should stand out right off the bat, the clouds have inverted here. That gives you an idea of the amount of volatility we're seeing. Doesn't necessarily scare us away, but it does give us a caution standpoint here, a reason to be a little bit more cautious compared to, say, most. Now, the other thing that stands out here with AI, we don't see any Keltner channel wedges when we actually had the breach taking place, which was early on in the morning, close to the open. So no setup inside of AI. We can move on to our next setup, which is inside of GOOS. If I load in a chart of GOOS, you can see a little bit different story here. Here, we've breached our volatility box zones, both the aggressive and the conservative models in this case. We have plenty of these Keltner channel wedges plotting, way more than 5 here, so we have that part of our setup met. Then we're looking for our overbought, oversold signal. That green arrow comes with our 7:46 a.m. Pacific candle, and the momentum cross comes with the very next candle, 7:48. This is a 2-minute chart, and you can see after that what a nice move we had inside of GOOS, tagging even the other side's volatility box, triggering now the short side opportunity. Same exact setup here, lots of Keltner channel wedges, our overbought confirmation here, along with the momentum cross. We have a nice little pullback inside of GOOS before it continues then the uptrend here, unable to really break above that previous high. So GOOS was one of the better trades that we had, and this set up in that 7 to 8 a.m. Pacific hour, so early on in the day. Next up on our list, INCY. If we load a chart of that in, here, this was an earnings play. We did have the Keltner channel wedges, but this wasn't as clean of a setup. By the time we tagged our volatility zones, these wedges had stopped plotting. We had made lower lows. Didn't look as appealing as something like a GOOS, where that's happening as we breach the zones, and we're able to see that we don't really form a new low here, but instead buyers have a little bit more control. Next up on the list, NOV. Inside of NOV Inc., same idea, an earnings play here, breached our volatility box zones. During the conservative, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Keltner channel wedges plotting, but we made a lower low here, which is where it seemed a little less interesting to me. We weren't able to see the buyers hold, unlike Canada GOOS there. Same idea here though, 850 is when we see the actual edge signal confirmation. The next candle is where we get the momentum cross, 852, and we do have a nice little pump up from when we get that momentum switch taking place. So NOV, another messy setup, but one that actually worked, where we still had the Keltner channel wedges. The only thing I didn't like there was we did make a lower low. Now next up, PLRX. This is a therapeutics company here. Here we did bounce inside of our volatility box clouds, and we did have a nice reversal, but we're missing the Keltner channel wedges. So while this makes the classic fade setup, we can ignore this since we're only looking at all of these trades through our momentum signal setup here, the momentum reversal setup. The next trade we have on our list, QRVO, and this was a short side setup. So if I load in a chart of QRVO here, we can take a look. We have price action breach, the upper edge of our volatility box zones. We have Keltner channel wedges all throughout that time here. These wedges stop plotting. We get our edge signal confirmation with the momentum cross in the same bar and a nice little flush move down lower before buyers come right back in and even break above our previous high. So this move here was short-lived, a smaller move, but still a short side setup here where we did get that small little flush. Next up, KKR. Take a look at that chart. Same idea here, short side setup, but here we had two different opportunities. The first opportunity came when we breached the aggressive volatility box clouds. We broke a little above it. We had the Keltner channel wedges stop plotting. We had our edge signal. We had the momentum cross. And this right here was a stop out where price action broke above that pivot point. We didn't see sellers hold this. So this is the first loser we're taking a look at. Gives you an idea of seeing a pump up breaking through our stop. And this then triggered the conservative volatility box where one more time, same idea here. Keltner channel wedges, edge signal, and the second time it worked, the setup where we had a nice flush move down lower. So the first setup here, stop out, where buyers pump price action above that previous pivot point. We get the setup repeat itself one more time here, and the second time, the setup worked out nicely. Next up on the list, Meta. Meta has had a good deal of volatility post its earning phase here, and we can see how that volatility translated today. In the 9 to 10 a.m. hour, we had a nice pump up. That's where Meta hits our live scanner. Plenty of Keltner channel wedges. We get the edge signal along with the momentum cross. And here we have a real nice move to the downside, despite, I would argue, already being extended by the time we had even the signal on a 2-minute chart. So for those of you that did catch Meta on something like the 1-minute chart, that would have been a nice opportunity. The 2-minute, a little too extended for me. Next up on our list is ALGM, another short side setup. And here we had no Keltner channel wedges plotting by the time we hit our short side volatility box. So dramatically less appealing here. We didn't see the Keltner channel wedges, so we don't really have the same setup rules that are met here. Next up, DOCU, DOCU. Now DOCU, we had two different breaches of our volatility box. The first time that we had that, we had Keltner channel wedges along with our overbought confirmation and the momentum cross here. Nice little flush side setup here. After that, we see buyers come in and we have buyers break above our previous pivot point. The second time when we breach the conservative clouds here, we have only the one Keltner channel wedge. This setup looks a lot different than this setup right here. Same thing as Meta though, or same idea I should say, where we were even at this point a little too extended considering we're outside of the target line. Definitely calls for either smaller sizing, waiting for a little bit of a pullback, so slightly better opportunities here, or this is one that you're on the sidelines for despite the trade actually working out. Next up on the list, Cleveland Cliffs. This was a nice setup where we had a long side opportunity towards the tail end of the day here. We have price action breach our volatility box zones. We have Keltner channel wedges, but we only had 3 here. 1, 2, 3, and none hiding even behind this bubble. So a little bit less on that perfect scale, but gives you an idea of 3 Keltner channel wedges. Price holds, makes a double bottom here. We have 1 and 2 and 3 edge signal confirmations. We have 1, 2, and 3 momentum crosses as well, where that EMA takes a little bit of time to get going. And after that, a small little move up into the close where we're able to hold our volatility box zones. The con of this setup, we didn't have as many Keltner channel wedges as we like to see, which is 5. The pro here was we had multiple of these edge signal confirmations. And finally, the last symbol on our list, MetLife. Here, MetLife triggered towards the tail end of the day. The very first time where we didn't breach, I'll zoom in, we got close, but we didn't quite breach. This is what we were looking for, and that would have been nice if we had that same setup take place in this entire period right here, but we really just chopped around sideways. We never even had the pieces for our full setup, And we can see here buyers really held price action pretty nicely near the 71.50 mark, let's call it, which is a nicer round number. But really between that 71.30, let's call it, you could draw a straight line, and almost every single candle after that 11 a.m. mark crosses that 71.30 price point. So hopefully through today's video, a little bit longer, we reviewed all of these setups, but you have a good idea of what we're looking for with regards to our momentum reversal. We had a few decent opportunities. I would still argue the best one was Goose. That was early on in the morning. We had a nice reversal there. Everything really worked out the way we would expect, where price action breached our volatility box zones. We had a lot of these counter channel wedges plotting that stopped plotting. We saw buyers come in with a nice buy side candle, along with our edge signal. Momentum crossed the very next candle. Very little heat, actually no heat at all on this trade, minus maybe this pullback if you were trailing up your stops. I hope you found this video useful. Again, I'll leave a link to our momentum reversal setup in the description box in case you'd like to explore the setup a little bit further. And for all Stock Volatility Box members, we reviewed the overlap tab today. You can also take a look at the different trades on our hourly tab, where we had quite a few, a very long list, and even on the daily tab, quite a long list here. And you can see how the overlap tab makes it nice and easy to know which are the best of the best setups from both of these lists. Take care, everyone. Good luck trading, and I'll see you in our next update.